center of the tent and have a seat.
I know, it's supposed to be warm. You get pay extra.
All right, welcome to the Greenville Downtown Airport. And for our press conference today, for our media, just be aware that we will have interview opportunities immediately following the press conference and the speakers. So I would like to introduce our first speaker, Matthew Alexander. He is originally from Atlanta. Matt found his way to Greenville by attending Furman University. So while at Furman, Matt not only earned his degree, but also a commission into the military through the university's ROTC program. While in the military, Matt flew Black Hawk medevac helicopters, served one tour of duty in Iraq in 2011, and continued flying in the Georgia Army National Guard until 2017. So Matt serves as the Vice President of Development and Operations within the Parker Group, and he is current chair of the Greenville Airport Commission. So if you would please welcome Matt Alexander.
Thank you, Rob. Good morning. As Rob said, my name is Matt Alexander, Chairman of the Greenville Airport Commission. Welcome to Greenville Downtown Airport, the busiest general aviation airport in the state of South Carolina. To put that in perspective, that means the airport's fixed-base operators sold over 1 million gallons of fuel in 2023, and there are nearly 90,000 takeoffs and landings on the runways behind me. These numbers mean we have more takeoffs and landings than Greenville Spartanburg Airport, and just behind Charleston and Myrtle Beach in terms of total airport volume. James Stevens will speak on this later, but all that means is the airport helps to directly support dozens of jobs and has tens of millions of dollars of local economic impact. The downtown airport does all this without the support of local tax revenue, which is why our education initiatives, community partnerships, Greenville City, Greenville County are all so critical. The state legislature and the South Carolina Aeronautics Commission are also critical in us being successful. We could not do it without them, so thank you. Aviation Week is a great opportunity to spotlight all these partnerships and initiatives. The airport's full-time staff are also critical. Director James Stevens, Kim Bright, Public Relations Director Rob Hoover, and Operations Managers Ken Cook and Kyle. Thank you for your work. These people are critical and integral to keeping the airport running smoothly and safely every day. Given that the airport is close to the city's central business district and within the city of Greenville, our partnership with the city is paramount. We are so thankful for their support, and I'm honored to introduce you today our mayor, who has played a critical role in the city's revitalization and its continued success, Mayor Knox White.
It's so cold up here. All remarks will be brief, I'm certain. We do have a number of elected officials here. Can you introduce the elected officials? Representative Chandra Dillard. What's that county councilman's name? Jason Elliott. So we're real glad to be here. The city and the county have really begun to realize the last couple of years how vitally important this airport is to our community. And look at the neighborhoods surrounding the airport now. There's a lot happening here. So just a few years ago, in cooperation with the Airport Commission, the city launched on a long-term planning process for this area. And we are so excited about the shared opportunities that we have to revitalize this entire downtown airport area. You're already seeing new businesses, shops and stores and coffee houses and everything in between, but at the same time keeping with the unique character of the area surrounding the airport. So it's got a great future as an economic development engine for this area, and frankly also just another great gathering place in Greenville, South Carolina. But congratulations to the downtown airport. It's an amazing airport for the whole state of South Carolina. I'll have to confess, Joe, I'm serious about this. One of my earliest memories as a child is coming out here for an Eastern airliner flight. How about that? God, that really does take me But this was a commercial airline place at one time before GSP, if you can believe that. But so much is happening now. We appreciate the just astounding leadership of these many decades of making this airport a very special place and what it is today. So congratulations, and in just a few short years, this airport, the downtown Greenville Airport, will celebrate its 100th anniversary in a few years from now. So congratulations.
Good morning, everyone. My name is James Stevens. I'm the airport director of the Greenville Downtown Airport. I've been here since October of 2022. I came on just after Joe Frazier retired after 39 and a half years. And Joe really set the stage for success for this airport. He watched it grow in those critical years where we really did make a lot of strides. He and the Airport Commission at the time every year put a lot of effort into making this place better and better. So what we're going to talk about today is the continuance of the work that happened here. As our chairman has said, we do want to thank our delegates and county partners and city partners. This airport is truly remarkable in that, as our chairman said, we don't rely on those funds from city or county to operate. Everything that we generate at this airport, through our users, through the leasing, through the fee structure that's here, goes back to the airport, helps us manage and operate so that we don't become a burden to our community. Today we're here to celebrate South Carolina Aviation Week. South Carolina Aviation Week is a week-long celebration of aviation across the state of South Carolina. That celebration really helps an airport to communicate to the public what the value of that local airport is and what the opportunities exist in our community for those that are going to follow us, our children that are coming up behind us. What you see behind me over here started out in, Joe, 2012, I believe, with the Runway Cafe was the first anchor point in this community corridor. Joe and the Airport Commission raised funds at that time to build Runway Park. Once Runway Park opened up, the cafe really boomed. The business really boomed with them. We see kids that have come out here. They stand at the fence. They wave at airplanes as they come and go. Some of those kids, I've actually already talked to one today, have grown up playing at this park, are now flying and instructing at this airport. So they already, in turn, are teaching that next generation. So we applaud them for that. I applaud the Airport Commission for the work that they put into that and the vision that they had. Today, we're also encouraging that next generation to come back out of the airport. We've partnered with 4 of our flight schools to give 8 students here in Greenville an opportunity to fly. Obviously, it's not the best day for weather, but they're going to have a great experience. We've got some great flight schools, great instructors. So the flight schools, if you're with one of our flight schools, I just want you to stand and be recognized right quick. So Cavu, Stratus, Greenville Aviation, and US Aeroflight. Thank you very much. So we've partnered with these 4 flight schools to provide the 8 students the flights. And the schools that are participating today, we've got Greenville Tech Charter High School, 4 students coming from there, and we've got 4 students coming from the Career and Technology Center, the new CTE Innovation Center over on Roper Mountain Road. Those 4 students I know have never flown. So I'm excited to see the response the students have from those flights. The next phase, though, of our aviation education outreach is the announcement of a new nonprofit that we've created here at the Greenville Downtown Airport. For years, we've managed this site, the maintenance of this site, with just fundraising that we've done annually to keep the place open. But we have created the Greenville Downtown Airport Charitable Fund for the purpose of stepping into that next phase of aviation education and outreach. And right behind you, somewhere in this vicinity, we plan to build an aviation education and outreach center once funds are raised through the nonprofit. And our intent is to bring organizations together like the Experimental Aircraft Association, the Civil Air Patrol, that both are represented here today, other aviation community groups that are here. We want to bring them to Greenville Downtown, give them a place to have events, do special outreach programs. As the airport, you know, we do a Take Flight 5K every year. We do a Warbird Weekend every year. That place will help anchor the spot and provide the community gateway onto this field and then eventually into career paths in aviation. So thank you very much for being here. We are celebrating South Carolina Aviation Week. We're proud to be part of it. I want to say thank you to the South Carolina Aviation Association, who's been a big part of pushing this through our state. And once again, this is your hometown airport, not only the busiest in the state when it comes to general aviation, but we also have the most airplanes of any airport in South Carolina, right here at the Greenville Downtown Airport. So there's a lot to be thankful for. There's a lot to be proud of in this community at this airport. So thank you, members of the delegation, county council, Mr. Mayor, thank you as well. At this point in time, though, I'm going to turn the podium over to Gary Siegfried with the South Carolina Aeronautics Commission. Part of what an airport has to do is manage all the pavements, keep the airport open, keep it safe. We do that through grant and aid, both from the Federal Aviation Administration and the South Carolina Aeronautics Commission. Gary's the executive director of the South Carolina Aeronautics Commission, and Gary, I want to personally say thank you for the work that you do for South Carolina airports and for ours.
Well, thanks, James. I appreciate all the kind words. Before I get started, so I don't know if you all know this, but James used to be the director at South Carolina Aeronautics. Probably most of you know that, but I interviewed with James in 2016 for the job of state airport engineer. And you know, when you interview, you get asked the typical questions: where do you want to be in a couple of years? And I was interviewing with another gentleman, Paul Wertz, at the same time. And I said, well, in 2 years, I turned to Paul. I said, Paul, I'd really like your job. And then I turned to James and said, James, I never want your job. So don't you ever leave. And yet, here we are today through, I don't know if it's a twist of fate or a cruel twist of fate, but here I am today as the director. It's been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. But anyway, before I get started, I just want to acknowledge our distinguished representatives again, and also mention one more representative who's not here today, and that's Representative Bruce Bannister, who's also from the Greenville area. All that to say, we're very appreciative of all Greenville has done for us. We recognize what you do. I don't get the opportunity to say thank you very often in person, so thank you for all that you've done for our airports. So it is Aviation Week in South Carolina. James was just talking about that. He's told you quite a bit about his airport. And, you know, we don't just celebrate the local airports, we celebrate all of our airports throughout the state. We have 58 public use airports. James did a great job telling you about this airport. Let me tell you one more thing about this airport. So there's throughout the national transportation system, there's different rankings of airports. The highest ranking of general aviation is the national airport. And throughout the United States, there are 85 airports that are classified as national airports. And these airports are the most important general aviation airport. In the state of South Carolina, there is exactly one national airport, and that's where we are today. And so that should tell you something about just how important this airport is to the national transportation system and our state's transportation system. So, you know, the airports like this, these aren't just hobby airports. They're not just for fun. They are a connection to our nation's airways. And our airports all across the state support all kinds of things. Air service is obviously one we all think about when you want to fly somewhere. You go to one of our commercial airports and you get on an airplane. Our airports support that. But here, the general aviation airports support other travel, like charter services. They support our medical flights, air ambulance, transporting passengers for medical treatment, organ transplants. They also support firefighting and emergency relief. So just to name a few. But the airports, a lot of people don't think about all of the services that these airports do provide to the local communities, and so they are incredibly valuable. In addition to this transportation element, our airports are a vital component of our state's economy. In 2018, we did an economic impact report. So these numbers are a little bit dated. We're getting ready to renew that report, so hopefully in another 6 months or so I'll have some new numbers on this. But in 2018, our airports all across the state created 123,000 jobs. Those 123,000 jobs created $4.8 billion in payroll. There was another $11.5 billion in associated spending at our airports for a total economic activity of $16.3 billion in the state of South Carolina. that $16 billion of economic activity generated $657 million in tax revenue that went into our state and local coffers that allowed our legislators to do their jobs. So while we're talking about money, let's talk a little bit about funding. That's something that's very important, obviously, to our airports, important to Greenville Downtown Airport for sure. They have a lot of big projects coming up. And while I have our representatives here, I'll use it as an opportunity to plug some funding needs. It's one of my big challenges as the director of this state system. When I arrived at aeronautics in 2016, we had about $2.5 million of revenue. If we work out the math, that's $43,100 to put into each of our airports. Not much money. The revenue streams have gotten better. We have airline property tax that's contributing to the state aviation fund. That's thanks to our legislators that we are now getting that money. That money used to go into the general fund, so we're very appreciative of that money coming to our state aviation fund. That contributes about $6.5 million now. Aviation fuel tax is in much better place than it used to be. We're now receiving about $6 million a year from aviation fuel tax. So all told, we have about $13 to $13.5 million now in what I will call regular revenue. The last couple of years, I've already mentioned our delegates have been much kinder to aeronautics, and they're recognizing the value of our airports. 2 years ago, we got $53 million in a one-time special allocation from the legislature. Last year, we got $20 million in a one-time allocation. And what this money allowed us to do is to, for the first time ever, give our commercial airports some help. And that's something that's vitally important to our system. So why am I looking for more money? Well, in 2023, the Council on Competitiveness wrote a white paper on funding airports in the Southeast. What they found was that South Carolina airports was lagging behind our neighboring states. One stark example of that is the state of North Carolina in October of 2023 announced their fiscal 25 program for airports, and they announced $455 million to go into their airport system. That was $355 million of one-time spending, but more importantly, $100 million recurring to go to the commercial service airports. And these neighboring states, although they're our friends, we have friends and family that live in the other southeastern states, they are also our competition. They're competing with us for new business, those associated jobs and the economic impact that goes along with that. They compete with us for new air service. All of these things are crucial to economic growth. And when new businesses are looking at places to relocate, frequently the first thing they ask is, how's your airport? How's your airport system? How's air service? So if we're going to continue to grow the state of South Carolina's economic impact, economic activity, our airports are a good place to put money. So this is my challenge, to spread the news about our airports. This is what I've been up to this week. I think this is the fourth or fifth opportunity I've had to speak to groups like this, and just thank you for all of that. Before I go, I do want to say one thing, not related to any of the funding. I was just down at Columbia Metro a couple of days ago, and I gave this message. I thought it'd be fair I'd do the same thing here for Greenville-Spartanburg International Airport, and that message is, fly local. When I go and talk to friends and family in Columbia, and so I live in the Columbia area, I would love everybody that lives in Columbia to fly out of the Columbia Metropolitan Airport. But when I talk to friends and family about it, they always say, well, we'd like better airfares, we'd like more destinations, we want more flight options. And what I will say about that is you can't have that unless there's passenger demand, and passenger demand comes from flying local. So I don't know how many people here drive up the road to Charlotte to go get on a flight there, but if you are doing that, I just want to say, before you do that, take a look at the Greenville-Spartanburg International Airport, because they have done a phenomenal job. Dave Edwards and his team have done just an amazing job marketing the airport, making sure that it's up to standards. In fact, they continue to improve the airport now. So anyway, with that, I think I'll turning it back to James, right? All right, so thanks so much. It's great to be here with you today, and I look forward to all James is going to be doing.
All right, Gary, I'm going to turn it around and say, fly even more local. We have 4 charter companies that are based here, along with the 6 flight schools as well. So if you really want to fly local, call one of our charter companies. One of the things I didn't mention earlier was the economic impact of the airport. I didn't get into those details. Gary gave you the oversight, really, of the statewide numbers. Back in 2018, when we did the study at the state, Greenville Downtown Airport had, at the time, nearly $70 million in annual economic impact in this community. There were 547 jobs estimated at that point in time with the businesses that operate right here. And the impact in the spending from those jobs and the living expenses and everything that those jobs bring to this community really compounds. So where we were then, I mentioned this earlier, is we're in a much better place now with the number of operations and the based aircraft and things like that we have here. So Gary, thanks for pointing at those numbers. Those are important for us to tell that story to our community and what the true value of aviation in this community is. The other thing I want to distinguish, and Gary mentioned this, is we've got Greenville-Spartanburg International Airport. They obviously are our air carrier airport. They do air carrier for passengers. They also do it for heavy air cargo. Donaldson Center, SC TAC, does much more of our industrial work. So they've got Lockheed Martin in the F-16, and they've got Stevens Aviation doing heavy aircraft maintenance. But what is unique about this airport is that we are the corporate gateway to Greenville, and we are the entryway from students to get into the industry through our flight schools. So again, thank you very much for being here today. I'm going to turn it over at this point to Rob Hoover, our Public Relations Director. He's got a couple more announcements. But once again, thank you very much for coming. Maybe at one time, if you're ever interested in being coming to the airport, getting more information, please don't hesitate. Our doors are always open. So come. I'll spend whatever time I need to show you around, tell you about the airport.
Thank you, James, for all our speakers. Please give them all a warm round of applause. So this will conclude our formal ceremony. However, there is a buffet lunch available for everybody that is present. If you would, just don't go anywhere. Right? So just take advantage of that, as well as for the media that is present. If you're interested, the flight schools are here and present. While the weather's not favorable for flying, we can still do interviews as well as maybe some pre-flight purposes. So if you're interested in doing that or any individual interviews with any of our speakers on the stage here, please let me know. All right, so, but this concludes our formal ceremony. And again, please stick around for the buffet. Thank you very much.